Okay, this is huge. What if I told you that the entire secret recipe for building something like ChatGPT was just released? For free. For everyone. Yeah, you heard that right. We're going to dive into this because an 80-page paper just dropped that might have just changed, well, everything for AI.
So for what feels like forever, the world of AI has been all about secrets, right? You've got these massive companies building incredible models like ChatGPT, but they've been super, super quiet about how the magic actually happens. I mean, look at this quote. This isn't from some random person on the internet. This is straight from OpenAI's own paper on GPT-4. They're basically saying, we made something amazing, and that's all you get to know. They're literally telling you that they're not telling you.
And that leads us to the billion-dollar question, the one everyone's been asking. So, what is the secret recipe? How do you actually go from nothing, from a blank slate, to an AI that can think, that can code, that can solve crazy hard problems? Well, buckle up, because it looks like we finally have the answer.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll touch on that culture of secrecy, OpenAI's secret recipe, if you will. Then we'll get into the main event, DeepSeek's 5 incredible breakthroughs. After that, and this is the cool part, we'll see how you can use these same ideas to think smarter yourself. And finally, we'll zoom out and talk about what this means for the future of AI. Sound good? Let's jump in.
So let's talk about this era of corporate secrecy. For a while now, the more powerful these models got, the more secret the recipes became. And that's a huge problem, right? Because science is supposed to be open. If nobody else can check your work or build on what you've done, progress just grinds to a halt. It really is like being the first person to discover fire, and instead of sharing it, you try to sell it one matchstick at a time.
But this is where the story gets really good. A company called DeepSeek just came along and basically flipped the whole table over. They dropped this massive 80-page paper that doesn't just talk about their new AI. No, it gives away the entire blueprint, the whole shebang. They're basically saying, hey, science should be open, it should be something everyone can build on, and they put their money where their mouth is.
All right, time for the main event. What exactly are these secrets that DeepSeek just unlocked? I'm going to walk you through the 5 big breakthroughs they revealed. And these aren't just minor tweaks. These are the core ingredients, the recipe for making an AI that can truly reason.
Okay, breakthrough number 1 is all about how you teach the AI, and it's brilliant. So the old way, you had this expensive AI teacher that would sit there and grade every single thing the student AI did. Super slow, super costly. DeepSeek's idea, just fire the teacher. Seriously. Instead, they tell the student AI, hey, for this one problem, give me 16 different answers. Then they just check which ones actually work. You know, does the code compile? Is the math problem right? The best answers move on, and the rest get thrown out. It's kind of brutal, but it's incredibly cheap, fast, and it scales like crazy.
Now, this next one is just fascinating. The AI literally taught itself to pause to think. The researchers noticed that the model just started taking longer on hard problems before spitting out an answer. Nobody programmed it to do this. It was like watching it have a little aha moment, all on its own.
And you can actually see the moment it clicks. The AI started writing out phrases like, wait, or let me recalculate, all by itself. It basically figured out that if it slowed down and double-checked its work, it got a better score. So it just started doing it more and more. I mean, how incredible is that? It learned the value of thinking twice without a single line of code telling it to.
Okay, breakthrough number 3 is all about patience over theory, or basically learning by doing. So DeepSeek gave their AI the rules for solving super tough competition math problems. But, and this is key, they gave it 0 examples from humans. It had to learn completely on its own by just practicing against itself. And look at these results. It's insane. Before this self-play, it was solving like 15% of the problems. But after, that success rate shot up to almost 80%. It was literally inventing its own ways to solve problems, stuff no human ever showed it.
So, the 4th big idea is that sometimes you just need a flashlight in a dark forest. I love that analogy. It means that while the AI can learn everything from scratch, giving it a tiny little nudge at the beginning can make a huge difference. Just a few examples can point it in the right direction, so it doesn't waste time wandering around in the dark, you know?
But here's where it gets really interesting. That little flashlight doesn't help with everything. For really abstract tasks, like those math problems we were just talking about, giving it a few examples barely helped at all, like maybe a tiny 2% bump. It seems for that kind of pure logic, the AI is perfectly happy to figure things out for itself, starting from 0.
But when it comes to language tasks, it's a completely different game. Without that flashlight, the AI can just start speaking gibberish, maybe even mixing up languages. It's totally lost. But give it just a tiny bit of guidance and bam, its performance goes through the roof. We're talking more than 3 times better. So for language, that little initial nudge is absolutely crucial.
And that brings us to breakthrough number 5, and honestly, this one might be the biggest of them all. It's a technique called distillation. The best way to think about it is like this. Imagine a Nobel Prize-winning genius writing a For Dummies book. They take all their complex knowledge and distill it down into a simple textbook that anyone can learn from. Well, that's what's happening here. A giant, genius AI model creates a textbook of its thought process to teach a smaller, much more efficient model.
So just how good is this distillation process? The results are absolutely staggering. Get this, a tiny model, small enough to run on a regular laptop, was taught by a bigger one. And this little model ended up being almost 6 times smarter than the gigantic GPT-4 on those competition math problems. Let that sink in. A tiny, laptop-sized AI is crushing one of the biggest models in the world. This is a total game changer.
Okay, so all this AI stuff is super cool, right? But here's the best part. You can actually take these same ideas and use them to upgrade your own brain. No, seriously. Let's break down 3 lessons from how this AI thinks that you can start using today. First, generate options. Next time you have a problem, don't just go with your first idea. Force yourself to come up with, say, 5 different solutions. Then pick the best one. Second, pause to think. Just like the AI, when you're up against something tough, just stop, take a breath, double-check your logic before you jump to an answer. And third, practice over theory. You learn way faster by actually doing the thing and even failing a few times than you do by just reading about it forever.
So let's zoom out. What's the big takeaway here? We are looking at a brand new era for AI. I mean, the kind of power that used to cost billions of dollars and live locked up in corporate data centers, it's now being handed out for free to everyone.
Just think about the timeline here. It's wild. A year and a half ago, building this kind of AI cost billions. Only a handful of giant companies could even try. Today, a model that's 6 times smarter on some things is just out there for free. And in the next year or 2, you're going to be running models this powerful privately on your own laptop or phone. The power is moving from the cloud to your hands. And that really leaves us with one final massive question. If today's free and open AI is already this powerful, what are you going to build with it tomorrow? The keys to the kingdom aren't locked away anymore. They're in your hands now. The future really is open.